Afternoon and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this afternoon. It is an impromptu live, and I was usually going to go live at 8 o'clock. I still will be going live at 8 p.m. Celtic part time, but this is just to warm us back up, because let's face it, we have a massive game on Saturday, 3 o'clock kickoff at Celtic Park. Always a fantastic time to get back to Celtic Park, because you can go to the walk-in. Yes, you can go to the walk-in just outside Celtic Park. Absolutely fantastic name for a Chinese restaurant in it. Afternoon at PS3 Retro TV, cracking little YouTube channel. If you've not subscribed to him, go over and do so if you like gaming stuff. But yeah, Aberdeen this weekend. And what if the unthinkable was to happen? What if the unthinkable was to happen and Celtic were to drop points at home to Aberdeen? It's been a long time since Celtic have really dropped any significant points to Aberdeen at home, but it has been done. Afternoon, Carly. I hope you're better now that we're at a reasonable time of day of doing YouTube. And don't worry, we'll still be back at 8 p.m. Celtic part time tonight. But this one is basically just a warm up to the Aberdeen game this weekend. When you look at the league table, when we look at the league table, I can actually do it on the screen as well, can't I? Let's look at the league table together. When we look at the league table, Celtic have played 7 games. They've won 7 games, lost none. They've got goals for 22, goals against 1, and a goal difference of 21. And Aberdeen are hot on our heels with the exact amount of games played, 7 games. They have also won 7 games. They've got a goals for tally of 15. They've got a goals against, which is 6. Which is good as far as Celtic are concerned. They are conceding some goals. They've got a goal difference of 9. But they are on 21 points. So it is a top of the table clash. Like it or not, this is the game of the season so far. This is the one that we all get excited about. This is bigger than the Glasgow Derby. It's way bigger than the Glasgow Derby, because Aberdeen are real title contenders. Or are they? Or are they just pretenders? Aberdeen fans will be thinking that they can go to Celtic Park and win the game with their new manager that's been in place now for a lot of time, and they seem to be having a good run domestically with the new manager up in Aberdeen. But will they just be pretenders, or will they be contenders? Contender ready! I always wanted to say that on YouTube. Contender ready! Oh dear, too much time on my hands there. Let's get that back up there and make it a little bit smaller, as they say. But yes, it is all looking great this weekend. But when it comes to it, Celtic will have a big decision to make this weekend. Brendan Rodgers ultimately will have a big decision to make this weekend. Will Cameron Carter-Vickers be back fit? Will Alistair Johnston be fit enough for the game? Remember that Alistair Johnston did go off with back pain in previous games. Will he have had enough rehabilitation time? And ultimately, will Cameron Carter's be fit? And if he's not 100% fit, do you play him? And if he's not 100% fit, does Brendan Rodgers then start looking forward to the transfer window? We'll come back to the Aberdeen match in just a second, because we're going to talk about the transfer window. And before we say good afternoon to everyone in the chat, as we always do on the One Celtic Fans View channel. First up was PS3 Retro TV, then Carly came into the room. Evan Sean and Lorna Gallagher saying, I hope you're all well. James Beattie says, can't listen to Baz because he's at work. But the answer is yes to the biggest test of the date. Let's get on. It is. I think that this is the biggest test of the season so far domestically for Celtic. A club across the other side of the city could say whatever they want, but the table doesn't lie. The table does not lie one iota. I've just showed you the table. It doesn't lie. Aberdeen are up there, and then they will think that they're going to win the league. They started singing it in one of the last games. Imagine singing it this early on in the season. I know that it's a Celtic song, and Celtic do sing it regularly towards the end of the season, but it's absolutely ridiculous to just start singing it just now, isn't it? Then that was from James Beattie. Next up is no doubt about it. 1-1-0, the hardest domestic, 110, the hardest domestic game so far. We're 12 goals ahead. Ultimately, I don't think the goal difference is going to matter in this game. I think it's going to be winner takes all. It is as simple as that. The Celtic Aberdeen game this weekend, 3 o'clock kick-off. They'll bring down a decent sized support. And the same as what we get up at their ground. And you've got to remember, they've reduced the allocation many times over the years. So it's I hope they all enjoy the restricted view at Celtic Park. Tam Max is in the house. Hail. Christopher's in the house. Hail, boys and girls. The word Celtic fans do. Carly says Aberdeen beat us, and that's 3 points more in front of the Huns. A win, and we're killing ourselves laughing. What would be good if they play? Do they play on the Saturday? It'd be good if they played the early. I don't know if they played the early kickoff, but if they drop points, it would be funny if the Celtic Aberdeen game was then a draw. If Rangers were to drop points in the earlier game, they'll more than likely be playing on the Sunday, no doubt, for television. But it would be interesting if they drop points this weekend and then Celtic Aberdeen going to draw the game. And that would leave all things square. I don't really want them catching Aberdeen. I think that Aberdeen will put one over them fantastically when they play them. But Tuchter punishment time, says B. It's Tuchter punishment time. Haggis, Neeps and Hatates. Cracking Charles name. We all know when there's an international game. After that game, we aren't up to standard due for not playing for 2 weeks. Saturday will be a close game in Lanky's going for 3-2 to Celtic. It's going to be an interesting one because Cameron Carter-Vickers didn't travel away with his country. Alistair Johnston didn't travel with his country. Cal McGregor has retired from international football. Those are the three players that you're thinking are going to do something. Paulo Bernardo, I believe he had another fan. Did he not score again just a couple of days ago with the Portuguese under 21? So, he's in fine form. What it's going to come down to ultimately is who does Brendan Rodgers? Does Brendan Rodgers bring back Rio Hatate and put him straight into that midfield? Or does he go with the tried and tested over the last season or so, Paulo Bernardo, who can turn it on for the big games? And maybe the fact that Rio Hatate, I keep wanting to say Haggis Neeps and Rio Hatates. Haggis Neeps and Rio Hatates. I think the fact that Rio is going to be travelling back, and the media are making a big thing out of it, that he's got all this distance to travel, and the first class way that people fly these days, it's not the big issue it was years and years ago. But will he drop him and will he go with the midfield three, or is it too early in the week to talk about the team? Of course it is. We don't know what players are fully fit, and I've not managed to have a chat with Brendan, which will come on the Friday afternoon, or will it be Thursday this week? It'll more than likely be the Friday. But anyway, I think that he will go with Callum McGregor, who will be nice and rested. Callum McGregor knows how to win these games. He knows what's important about these games. And I think Paulo Bernardo has got that little bit of fight about him. I still think that Paulo Bernardo should get the shout before Rio Hatate. I said that well before this game. And I think that he should get this one also. And then it's Arne Engels. Has Arne Engels had enough time to settle within the team? And then it comes down to the left back and right back position, really. It does come back to the left back and the right back position. If the one and only Alistair Johnston is not 100% fit, we all think that he will be, and we're then left with the Bricky. Is fantastic a player that he is. And then on the other side is young Alex Baye. Now, this is the one that the press will definitely be looking at, because the fact that James Forrest has also pulled out the Scotland squad, or he's been dropped from the Scotland squad. I'm not sure if he pulled out, if he dropped, but I've seen that come up on the Scottish national team thing this morning. I don't know if Scotland have got another game this week. Oh yeah, they do, don't they? They play Portugal or something. Yeah, who cares? Anyway, we'll move on. But it's going to be interesting, because if Greg Taylor does not start, does that mean there has been a rift, or is it the fact that, and then ultimately we have to look forward to the transfer window and see what happens at the transfer window. But there's a much more important game, and that is the game this weekend. So Haggis, Neeps and Tatty, he's going for an early shout of 3-2 to Celtic. Oh, so he said right. I've got to admit, he did say that the one and only Ross County would score against us. You did say that Ross County would score against us, and you were right. We just never expect it to be a penalty. Pittodrie's busted at the seams every home game now. Well, it's been a long time since they've done that. The glory hunters, aren't they? Complete glory hunters are they sheep then, aren't they? Carly says, if we let them win, just to piss off the Huns even more. Oh my goodness, Richard Smith is in the house. B's in the house with the Gladiators go. That's what the contenders ready. Are they contenders or are they pretenders? Danny Cassie says, well, I'm going to go for my favourite score. 3-1. My favourite player, Rui Kyogo, to score the first goal if he starts. And hopefully that the bold CCV is fit. The Aberdeen defence is garbage, says Kurt Anderson. Nothing but a win for us, sounding like Spurs fans. There is going to be no other. I'm not going to say anything else but a Celtic win. So I don't know who was saying drop points. I never want to drop points just to get our newest, youngest team in Scotland. Tony says, big hail to Stephen. I don't think Stephen's in the house this afternoon as yet, but he'll probably watch this back. Haggis, Neeps and Tatties says they play on Sunday away to Killie at 12 p.m. Oh, well, we want to win then. We want to win. If they're away to Killie, they're going to drop points, hopefully. Because Killie had that wee comeback, remember, in their last game. And maybe that's Killie, because they had that late comeback and scored 2 goals in the last, I think it was the last 6 minutes of the game. It was 4 minutes into extra time that they scored the winner. So Aberdeen, Kilmarnock will be thinking, right, let's take this Rangers team out. They'll not want to lose it or lose ground and head back down to the bottom of the table. They'll think, right, come on, this is us. This is where we turn the corner. And if we could beat Rangers, what better place does that put us? And I'm sure that the current Kilmarnock boss will do his utmost to try and beat them. Anyway, Agus Neeps and Tutties, I've done that. Carly says, Joseph, why would I be joking? My hatred for the Huns is more powerful than 3 points people make up. That's from Carly. Tony says, a big hail to Baz. Carly says, and I like Aberdeen. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Anyway, Thomas is going for 3-0 Celtic. Joseph Davison said, well, I love Celtic more than my wife. Well, don't we all? Just saying. She knows it. Just Celtic then. No, yeah. Yep. Thomas is going for 3-0. Joseph is going for 4-0. We'll wait and change. We won't do any predictions as yet because we want to see what the gaffer says towards the end of the week. We can add to the speculation on the team that may play or may not play and what players will not be fit. But until then, all we can talk about is this the biggest test of the season for Celtic. As Aberdeen come calling to town, will they? I mean, they've had a fantastic run and start to the season. The team in third will hope that Celtic demolish Aberdeen, but I think that Aberdeen will put up a very stern test at Celtic Park. God bless the Celtic fans, says Tony. Paul says afternoon to everyone. A couple of scorelines coming out now. Pumping the sheep 4-0, 2-1, 2 rest in peace Rangers. Killie pump the co this weekend, 3-1, 3-1. Let's leave the predictions till later on in the week. Aberdeen are unbeaten, but they ain't cutting other teams open, says Carly. Watched the Sheep's last game. Hearts got through them easily. We will battle them. I don't think that we're going to battle them. I would like to play Luke McCowan in the middle. Bernardo, he's not playing good enough. He starts Scales. Yeah, you're going to start Scales, Joseph. The fact that Paulo Bernardo is doing it for Portugal under 21s on a consistent basis, is their captain. Celtic expects big things for him. I think Portugal, if he's under 21 captain of Portugal aren't expecting, the Portuguese team aren't expecting him to sort of see out his career at Celtic. They'll expect him to go to bigger and better teams around European football. And it could be in years to come that we're lucky to say that we had Paulo Bernardo when he was a young player. But then again, maybe not. He might not reach the heights of which some other Portuguese stars have reached in current years. But Joseph is going for 4-0 or 4-1 at Celtic. Alex Valle will start on Saturday. It's going to be interesting to see who does it. And is Greg Taylor, is the injury going to keep him out any longer, or is there more to it? We're not going to add to the speculation, but I'm sure Brendan Rodgers will be asked come Friday. Well, I love my hubby more than Celtic, just, says Lorna. Bet you did. You're not a Celtic fan then. Just joking. Haggis, Neeps and Hatati says Brendan will say on Friday that he'll be missing the game. Still behind a few weeks. Ooh. Is that you getting your information again? Brendan and he's talking about the one and only Greg Taylor. Now, if he's going to be missing the game for a few weeks, that would just add to the speculation. Or are you talking about the big toe? Are you talking about the big toe? Tell me in the comments, Lanky. Are you talking about the big toe, or are you talking about you're talking about Greg Taylor? Because if Greg Taylor is not fit for the next couple of weeks, and Alex Baye then goes on a run for Celtic, he then gets to the position, talking about CCV. Oh, he's talking about CCV. Right, well, if he's talking about CCV, that means that Trusty's going to start the game then. Austin Trusty, he's starting to work her way into the Celtic fans' liking. But then again, you've got Big Mark, who's, I don't think if he doesn't get a good run between now and the transfer window, I think that he could be out. We shout out to my nurse, shout out to Wee Mercy. He's a Celtic daft and runs a hospital at the minute. Well, there we go. Hagen Deep Society is talking about Cameron Garter-Vickers. He's been told that Brendan will say on Friday that Cam will... so it does, let's read it right. It just came up on the screen. Cam will be missing the game. He's still behind a few weeks. Vi hasn't filled me with confidence. I'm really hoping I'm wrong, says B. I think that he is what you have to remember is a young player coming from another country to Scotland, playing a completely different style of football, and not a European style of football whatsoever. I mean, this is ground zero as far as football is concerned. And it's not the La Liga type football that you would expect, that a Spanish player would expect to be playing. This is rough and tumble, the Scottish game. This is this grand place of football that makes us no wonder that we look at Steve Clarke and go, how's he still in a job, man? How's playing a brand of football where you're thinking and trying to get the best out of players that just haven't got the talent? This is what you would... Is it ground zero or is it ground zero -1? It's Scottish football, or am I giving Scottish football an injustice on the behalf of Alex Baye? He has admitted that he now knows that Celtic are a massive team with a massive following, and let's face it, they take more away fans to games every week than Barcelona does all season. So there we go. And he now admits that Celtic are a massive team, and he's glad that he came here. He didn't realise how big Celtic were as a football club until he started coming here and playing games and seeing how many fans we take to away games, both home and in Europe. And not just Europe. You've got to look at the pre-season. Well, he wasn't there at pre-season, so shut up. Anyway, who is Lorna? I don't know. He was talking about Ground Zero is Hog Day. Yeah, it is Ground Zero Hog Day, isn't it? It's Celtic keep winning the league. It is Hog Day, isn't it? It's just like consistent. Celtic keep winning the league. But anyway, Celtic do have a massive test. Haggis Deeps and Tatty Lanky says Valle is a decent player. He is a decent player, and the fact that Barcelona had him out on loan for the full season last season to get him up to standard. They took him out of the youth football to get him first team football at a team, Yavanti I think it was, if I remember correctly, and then they wanted him to get some more first team football experience. And when Celtic came knocking on the door, they thought there was no better team to put him at, because Celtic are ultimately in the Champions League, and that's what sealed the deal for Celtic getting young Alex Bailly. And they would be hoping that he would get a run of games in the Champions League just to see how he's progressing as a player. You've got to remember, he's only 20-year-olds. We send our 20-year-olds that come through the system out on loan. But anyway, maybe solid defensively, but can't contribute to attack. But he can contribute to attack a bit better than Greg Taylor. He's not as solid defensively. I think he's a bit more. See, that's funny that you're saying that, Lucky Green Hat, because I think that he plays the position better than Greg Taylor in a defensive way, I think, because he doesn't get dragged into the middle of the park to where Callum McGregor's standing. And I think sometimes that teams will attack that left back area knowing that Liam Scales is then pulled out of position, even though the two centre backs sit quite wide apart anyway. But if you can get Scales pulled out of position there and other teams attack that position, Aberdeen might try that this weekend. And don't be, if Greg Taylor is playing, I fully expect Aberdeen to try and exploit the left back area of the pitch for Celtic. No to KT, says Tony. Tony, who is Lorna? Tony? I don't think Taylor gets the credit he deserves, bad, says Jez. And no, he doesn't. And he's been a stalwart for Celtic. But I think that I'm starting to get that feeling that we're talking about Greg Taylor as if it's going to be a past tense. And that kind of happens at this stage of the season. We started to talk about David Turnbull in a similar vein of form. And you've got to remember, in Brendan's first season, Turnbull was the best player in the midfield for us. At the start of the season, Turnbull was best player in the midfield for us. And he was also coming up to the end of his contract. And he was sold in the January. So ultimately, when it gets to January, and maybe Celtic will want to make sure that Greg Taylor is 100% fit going into the transfer window in January. And then you've got to say, what the hell does Celtic do then? Because if we sell Greg Taylor at that point, we have to go and bring someone in. Do we promote someone from the youth setup? Is there someone that's capable enough in the youth setup to sit as second fiddle to Alex Bailly? But then when we get to the summer, it's a speculation all over again. But it's a speculation all over again. But anyway, is Bailly here for 4 seasons? No, Alex Bailly is only here for the 1 season on loan from the one and only Barcelona. Anyway, Joseph says, hi, Baz. Bailly is good for starting players around him. I think we are slow in the uptake. Bailly is more forward-thinking than his teammates and not on the same wavelength. That all comes with time. Carly's been smoking something really strong this afternoon because she reckons that Greg Taylor's going to Saudi in January for 50 million. Oh, I love that woman. She's absolutely nuts. Matthew Anderson, that's what I think. Matthew Anderson is a player that was in and around the first team, remember, Lanky, during pre-season. He was in and around pre-season. Is he ready for the step up? Brendan Rodgers will hope so, but the way that Brendan Rodgers has been speaking about the players from the B team just not being at the level, speed-wise, it would be a big guess. I don't think Taylor gets the credit he deserves. Anyway, and the question is this the biggest game of the season so far? Yes. Are we scared for Aberdeen coming to town? I don't think that we're scared for Aberdeen coming to town, but when you look at the league table, we want to make sure that at least a win is a must. A bare minimum is a must win. But would a draw ultimately be a bad thing? Would it be a bad thing, the fact that the third team third team in the league, go away to the one and only Kilmarnock, and Kilmarnock got that cracking result, scoring 2 late goals, and they will think that they are on the up again. Anyway, and what time is it? I'll just jump in. I'll be killing myself if they do. Killing myself if they do. That'd be absolutely fantastic for College to win. Anyway, we will be back at 8 p.m. Celtic part-time tonight, where we can talk a bit more about the transfer window. Yeah, well, tonight we'll talk about the transfer window and what we think may or may not happen. And the reason we're going to start talking about it, because let's face it, it is getting to almost that time of the month where you start, that time of the year where it starts all up again. But no. We'll continue talking about the Aberdeen game, or we'll just see what happens in the comment section. Anyway, I'll see you all tonight at Celtic Park. John Sprout says Taylor thinks he is a midfielder. He's a left wingers and he's cost Celtic a lot of goals. Let him go. He's not a superstar. Oh, we should do a buy, keep, sell, or we can't loan him because he's only 6 months. And we'll get a result, says Stephen. Jed Johnson says, I don't think a draw would be a bad result. I don't think it would be a bad result. It would keep us both ahead of that team across the city. But if we were both to drop 2 points and they were to ultimately win the game, you could say it would be a bad result because it lets them get 2 points closer, which you don't really want. I want to keep the gap. I want Celtic to go on and dominate. Brendan Rodgers will want to prove that we're on a fantastic run again. It's going to be an interesting game, and it's one that I can't wait for. It is going to be on here at 4 p.m. Saturday. I don't know where I'm going to go and watch it. If I'm going to, I think I might go back down to Paddy's Point. Go down to Paddy's Point, see all the old boys, because go down and see them. So anyway, that is the league table. We'll talk about this more this evening. Make sure you join us tonight, 8 o'clock Celtic part-time, where we can talk about the team this weekend, who we think may or not play, and just have a blether, really. Anyway, on that note, have a fantastic day. Take care, troops, says Lorna. Stephen is hungry. Laters, everyone, said Jed. We'll get the result right. Wilson QW says, when we beat Aberdeen, their season will crumble. I do not want their season to crumble. I want them to come back and then beat the other mob across the other side of the city. Anyway, see you at 8 p.m.